Okay, hi guys. So welcome to my channel again. My name is Stanley, and you're watching RC Tank Legion. So today we're going to talk about how to make your own speaker box. One thing about speaker boxes is that there is a specific formula, but it honestly does not apply. It doesn't really apply to RC tanks because we have such limited space to build the ideal speaker box. You can search the formula online. You just search for speaker box formula, and you can get the exact formula. So I'm not gonna go into so much detail, but because I actually never really used the formula. What we want to do really is to make the speaker box as big as you can, especially if you're using a very large speaker like this Visaton FRS8. This is rated for 30 watt output, maximum 50 watt, running at 8 ohms. So because this has a audio amp, which is over here, we can push it as loud as we want. So ideally the speaker should be about this big, but you know, we have our boards and everything over here, so I couldn't make the speaker as big as I want to. So this is as big as I got. In fact, if you can see here, there's a little down step. That's because the turret mechanism gets in the way, so I have to make this as a little lower clearance, or else the speaker will be all the way flat. Of course, the simpler the better, but you know, this is extra work. So what you can see here, this speaker box is literally built into the tank. What I did was I used styrene, plastic styrene. Let me open this here, it's pretty airtight. Okay, what I did was I cut the styrene to shape right over here, and once I got the dimensions and everything right, I epoxied them to the hull. So this is a permanent fixture, and you know, once everything is done, once everything is measured, you know, as usual, measure twice, cut once philosophy. So I use styrene because it's very easy to work with, it's easy to cut, easy to shape, perfect to glue. I use Tamiya extra thin cement to glue everything together. It's very easy. Of course you can use super glue, but you know, this is much better. So I had to make it like that. So I make two sides, cut it to shape and everything, and then of course I have to get a flat panel, and then of course measure the size. You know, I know I'm going to put it here, so I'm going to measure this to size, and of course make sure your speaker fits this area in the first place. So as you can see here, this is the Visaton FRS8. It's very big. It's I think it's at 8.8 cm diameter, or I can't remember. Let's see. Let's be sure. It's a 7.5. So give or take 7.5 cm or 75 millimeter. 3 inches for the imperial measurement guys. So that's what I did. And one of the tricks that I realized is that when you make the box and your upper hull's on top of here, right, make sure you have a little gap, okay, a little air gap, because you realize if you put your hand over the speaker when it's making noise, if you put your hand over the speaker, it's muffled. But if you lift your hand just a little off, the sound is not as muffled, or rather it's not even muffled at all. So if you lift your hand off, there is a gap, it sounds much better. So that's one of the tricks guys, if you want to make a really nice sounding speaker box, because you know, we do have limitations in the tank where, you know, our upper hull is blocking everything. So this is one trick I found out. So that's the top tip for today. Make sure you have an air gap between any obstruction and the speaker face. Also, some people asking me about this bass or bass relief valve. What it does, what I read online, is that it allows the speaker to breathe, you know, as it moves. You allow the air pressure to equalize, so it also sounds a little better. I'm not an audio expert, because this is what I know, what little I know, is that it allows the membrane to last longer, so because it allows to breathe, etc, etc. Also, certain sound really sounds nice. For me, I find the treble sounds much nicer, sharper. You can tell the difference by I put my the only way I could tell is after I build it, I put my finger over it, and with and without, there is a sound difference, and I like it with the bass relief valve. Of course, there are formulas online on how big and how long this bass relief valve tube is. Again, I'm just building this out of literally eyeballing the measurement. I got the biggest size styrene tube that Evergreen has, which is half an inch or 12.7 millimeters. And I figured that you need some space for the air to go in, so I measured about this much, about half the depth of the speaker box. Of course, there are some specific measurements where you can make it longer and all that, but honestly, I don't know, and I can't really tell the difference. Of course, again, for those guys who want to do it perfectly, you can, and that's what you can do. So styrene tube, and I put extra styrene strips for reinforcement because it was a little flexible. This is 1.5 millimeters. I like to use this size because it's just thick enough and easy to cut, easy to work with. And as you can see here, I use 18 gauge wires for the speaker because just like a little trick from the audio guys, is that if you use good quality high strand, basically a thicker wire, you get more sound or more juice coming in from the amp into the speaker. So I overdid it because this is what I have, versus the smaller 24 gauge wire. This is a much bigger gauge wire. If you're gonna do it, just might as well put the biggest possible cable you can put in. Of course, 18 gauge is just about right. You can get stuff like this, but this is way overkill. This is 12 gauge, so when I say overkill, don't overdo it. It's just too much. So I think it definitely sound better than a wire of this size. So and we tested it. It sounds awesome. It was great. And of course, you have to do it and test it and find out. So this is, if you do it right, this is perfectly tight. And I incorporate the hull reinforcement bars to act as a locking mechanism, because if you turn the tank sideways, this might pop out. So I actually put bits of foam on my aluminium bars, and when you bolt it down, it just neatly presses the speaker mounting board neatly in place. It's not a lot of pressure, it's just to hold it in place, so it's very neat. Okay guys, to cut a perfectly round hole for mounting your speaker box, I got this cutter. I think it's called a compass cutter. I'm not really sure what it's called. Basically, it sometimes comes with a drill bit. It should come with a drill bit, but I mounted the straight pin, and you will use this with your power tool. Be very careful because this is sharp, and you don't want to be holding it and this gets in the way and this cuts your finger. It will be really messy. You will use this with your power tool, like a electric drill or a bench press, and of course take all the necessary precautions and stuff like that. So when you cut the plastic, you need to obviously find your center, and then you drill a hole to this shank size. This is 6 millimeters. So once you drill it to that size, you insert it, and then you spin your drill. As it spins, it will cut lines onto the material, and then once it's cut enough times, it would cut the material off the board that you're working on. So this is an excellent tool for making perfect circles. It takes a while to calibrate. This is already set for me for a 7.5 cm hole. It took me a while to get it perfectly same on both sides, but once it's set, it's good. So it was worth getting one of these. I got this from one of the hardware shops, and yes, there are various qualities that you can get. I purposely got this because this was the sharpest looking one, and it is indeed sharp. And for some reason, I can't use it in the right way right way around. You know, when you use a drill, it would turn clockwise. I find it would cut more controlled in the counterclockwise. So my drill is obviously reversible, so I cut it this way, because you know it cuts this direction instead. Because if you cut this direction, it kind of gets jammed, so not fun. And of course, be careful because it's a sharp tool. And happy modeling. If there's any questions, if you guys want me to cover for my next video, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. And as usual, I hope you enjoyed this video and find this video informative. Please like, share, and subscribe.